Video captured on cell phones of middle school girls brawling at Booth Fickett Magnet School. 3 separate fights in the past month outside on school grounds, and this brawl in the hallway as staff try to break it up. Go! The fights happened after Principal Chuck Bermudez was shown the door following his tell-all interview with KGA 9 last month. He complained that major shifts in the discipline policy these past 2 school years have led to more aggressive misbehavior. Bermudez, insiders, and education experts all tell me student violations at many TUSD schools are being downplayed and underreported in the name of incident reduction.
It's very deliberate by the directors who are guiding these principals and by the cabinet leaders. They want those numbers to look low.
This is a stack of reports, just over 600 pages of violations at several schools that parents and insiders tell me have serious discipline issues. Schools are required to report every incident, from tardiness to aggravated assault. The violation and actions taken by school staff are recorded in these incident detail reports. But in here, there are no details of what actually happened, but I did get some details that are not included in this report. At Cholla High School on April 6th, an insider tells me a senior backed a first-year teacher against the wall and put him in a chokehold. Because the assault was against a teacher, TUSD's discipline policy identifies the violation as aggravated assault, a level 5 violation, which is the highest level infraction, and state law requires a mandatory report to law enforcement. High-level educators, attorneys, and teachers tell me it's aggravated assault. But in the incident detail report, the only recorded incident that day is labeled disorderly conduct and endangerment, both level 3 violations. And we could find no reported call to police involving the chokehold incident on the teacher. The consequences doled out to the offender: out-of-school suspension for 3 days and reassigned to a different class for 1 day. What's the responsibility, though, of the principals when you're violating state law and you know you're violating state law?
It puts a principal in a very tough position.
At another school, a TUSD insider says a student recently brought a dangerous weapon on campus, a level 4 violation. But a district administrator forced the principal to downgrade it to level 3, a dangerous item.
That is a state law violation. It's against the law to reclassify something that's a weapon to a dangerous item. If that weapon, by definition, meets all the criteria, then it should stay. It should not be lessened because we don't want to suspend the child.
Erickson Elementary, an East Side school with 465 students and a history of discipline problems, including this school year. Documents KGA 9 obtained show a disturbing incident that educators say was downplayed. In November, a student was lured into the bathroom and 2 students punched him in the head and stomach repeatedly. The victim was sent to ER.
Anytime a student is taken to the emergency room or if a student is injured, you must call the police.
But there's no report of police being called. The incident should be identified as aggravated assault because the fight caused serious physical injury, but that's not what appears on the report. The incident was first labeled disorderly conduct and then upgraded to assault in the incident detail report. The 2 students received out-of-school suspension for 4 days. Here's another incident reported in February. A student was repeatedly banging another student's head on the ground in a classroom, and the victim was hurt, sent to the health office. I consulted international bullying expert Sherry Bauman. What would you consider that?
That's a level 4. That's an assault.
It should be an assault. It's just that simple.
It was labeled disorderly conduct, a level 3 violation. The student received 2-day detention. We also have some details of incidents labeled minor aggressive act, a level 2 violation.
A minor aggressive act is when someone comes up to you and pokes you. That happens. That's natural. We know that.
But some of these incidents are more severe. One student pushed a student into a pole, and the student cut his head and was sent to the health office. A 3rd grader, who later had 9 more serious violations, began chasing students aggressively, pushed the monitor, and choked another student.
If a child is being choked and a monitor is being pushed, that's an assault.
Downplaying the incidents could explain why the incident detail report shows the number of assaults at Erickson dropped from 33 last year to 5 this school year. In fact, there were dramatic shifts in reporting of low-level incidents. There were 218 reports of minor aggressive acts in the 2014 school year and only 10 this school year. Disruption in class, like talking loudly and throwing objects, dropped from 125 to 0, meaning there were no reported disruptions in class the entire school year. And defiance toward authorities dipped from 105 to only 3, an incredible 97% decrease. As a result, the dramatic drop in reported incidents reduced the number of pages in the incident detail report to 80 pages last school year to only 6 pages this school year. All the education experts I consulted say it's highly unlikely a school can make such a drastic improvement in 1 year.
It's fear. You don't want to get your numbers up. You don't want to have those high discipline numbers.
If you're going to make a significant change in the way something operates, you cannot do it on the cheap. You just can't. Because then you get what we have, which sounds like chaos.
TUSD changed to a more lenient discipline policy that included restorative practices to reduce suspensions and expulsions district-wide. But sources say some students took advantage of it. Take a look at the data of low-level incidents in 2014-15 reported in the incident detail reports. Tardies, 139. Leaving school grounds without permission, 92. Disruption, 125. Defiance or disrespect towards authority, 235. In the 2015-16 school year, those reported incidents dropped dramatically, 2 of them to 0. But TPD says the behavior continued. In a letter to Superintendent H.T. Sanchez, former Police Chief Roberto Villaseñor wrote, "Some students welcomed a school with no consequences. A group of students became empowered and acted with complete disregard towards school staff and the school resource officer." Villaseñor wrote, "We experienced numerous assaults of fellow students." Sources say after the school bell rang, students roamed the halls with no fear of tardy violations, and sometimes that led to bloody assaults. Police reports we obtained show a handful of students walked or ran into classrooms and punched students in the face. And a few bloody fights between students erupted during class as students watched. Villaseñor wrote, "The school continued to withhold or minimize discipline, which further fueled students' negative attitudes, and in one case, the violence spilled off campus." This massive fight at a nearby McDonald's, caught on cell phone last September. Documents show 10 students in all. Sources say even an off-duty U.S. Marshal was assaulted during the fight, and the violence continued the next day inside the school. Police reports show a massive fight on the first floor between classrooms with a crowd of about 50 students. The next day, police returned. Paula Verde was put on lockdown after reports of a teenager with a gun. A search ended with no weapon found. Assistant Superintendent Abel Murado told KGA 9 then and again this week that the district was investigating what could be causing the issues.
We are not going to be put in a position where our schools are unsafe.
Did you know, though, it was escalating there? That behavior problems were starting to get to the point?
There was a time period where it was evident that there was some escalation, and we were seeing incidents on several days, and some of those involving different parties.
Isn't restorative practices built so that you can prevent that from happening?
Well, we were trying. We were addressing students that either we knew were involved or some of their friends may have been involved.
Then came the death threats. Rumors of a hit list surfaced, names that included the TPD school resource officer. Guns, assaults, death threats. The SRO feared for his life and alerted his superiors. But it wasn't just the students and the SRO in danger. Villaseñor wrote, "Students began directing their threats and disrespectful behavior towards school staff, and staff experienced numerous assaults. For example, TPD reports reveal a student delivered a powerful punch to a substitute teacher's kidney. A student running away from a classroom fight assaulted an assistant principal that left her left hand bruised and swollen. Under state law, hitting school staff is aggravated assault, but TPD reports show administrators told the SRO that staff did not wish to prosecute per TUSD policy. So while a half dozen criminal assaults took place, according to Tucson police, the assaults on staff do not appear in the incident detail report. Sources say when the SRO addressed the alarming safety issues with the principal, Eric Brock, he said his hands were tied and the district doled out the discipline. Tucson police had enough, and TPD brass met with the district administrator, Abel Murado. Sources say TPD brass told Murado that the progressive discipline and restorative practices were not working on some students. The district needed to hold students accountable and not sweep the severe discipline issues under the rug.
We were able to describe and discuss with them specifically some of the things that we were looking at, and basically comparing notes and looking at the discussion surrounding, what it is that we were trying to do regarding matters of discipline and what our approach to that was.
Then came the startling revelation, sources say. The district administrator said TUSD is behind the 8 ball. Sources say Murado expressed grave concern about the district hemorrhaging students. The district is in danger of becoming insolvent and needs to keep kids in class to maintain funding.
That was not the intent of that statement. The intent of that statement was to basically draw the context and look at the surrounding factors involving the issues that are current in this school district.
But sources tell me the intent was clear. It was about discipline and the need to reduce suspensions and expulsions. Tucson police put the district on notice. Fix it, or the police department will pull the school resource officer from Palo Verde.
I don't recall that, but that doesn't mean it wasn't said. I just don't recall that.
Sources say that demand got the district's attention. Too many inexperienced teachers and discipline problems this year have a growing group of concerned parents saying Utterback has become utter hell.
And that's very frustrating to me because I see these kids come every day with a heart to learn and want to do something with their lives.
3 parents, Bonetta Morgan, Benita Martinez, and Leo Fleming, also decided to take a stand after witnessing firsthand this semester out-of-control classrooms.
The children laying on the tables, screaming in the classrooms, yelling at the teachers.
They lay on top of the desk, they throw papers, they say bad words.
There's no discipline. If there's no consequence to their actions, they're just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse.
The parents say the bad behavior extends beyond the constant disruptions in classrooms. Benita Martinez told the board,
"There's fights in the school to where nothing's being done."
And these 3 parents are not alone in their frustration. Over the past 6 months, teachers, principals, staff, students, and parents have come forward to KGUN 9, detailing severe discipline issues at schools across the district. The district confirmed in August the schools struggled with discipline last year. Listen to what TUSD's Director of School Improvement reported to the school board.
We had a number of significant discipline incidents that went up there. The first thing I want to say is Utterback had 18 brand new teachers. Anytime you have 18 brand new teachers, you have classroom management things.
This is TUSD's middle school director, Michael Conrad, in charge of changing the disruptive culture at Utterback. We discussed the parents' complaints, the TUSD incident data, and the Tucson police reports. He said he recently looked at all of the school's data, comparing the first semester this year to last year.
So we saw both the number of instances decreasing and the number of serious incidences decreasing by quite a lot.
Then came the startling revelation from Conrad that the district has reversed course, increasing student suspensions this school year. Not only at Utterback, TUSD confirmed that the tougher discipline practices are back in play district-wide. Conrad says anytime 2 or more students are caught mutually fighting,
then that's going to be something where the students are suspended out of school.
For 3 days, then returned to in-school intervention. The incident reports last school year show many students caught fighting received detention or reassignment to a different class, and level 4 and 5 violations like assault.
They're also going to be suspended, but they're going to be suspended for a longer term.
What's considered a longer term?
Long-term suspension is any time over 10 days out of the school system.
And twice as long for aggravated assault.
They tend to go for 20 days or more off of the campus, and then those students are either going to be at home or they're going to go to our alternative education program.
Though Conrad says there's a decline in discipline problems this school year, Bonetta Morgan hasn't seen it yet. so she's not convinced.
We're here, they're going to hear our voices, and we're not going anywhere until they make changes.